When we think of World War II, the focus usually goes to weapons, tanks, and strategies that shape the battlefield. But, hidden behind those big headlines are the smaller details, the everyday items that ordinary soldiers and civilians relied on not just for convenience, but for survival itself. In an era of scarcity and rationing, when nothing could be wasted, people learned how to make ordinary objects serve extraordinary purposes. A tin of cigarettes, a bar of soap, or even a simple safety pin could be the difference between life and death. And what makes this story more fascinating is how many of these wartime tricks can still teach us lessons today, whether in emergency preparedness or just sharpening our understanding of resilience in hard times. Soldiers quickly learned that cigarettes were more than just a smoke. Tobacco rations were standard issue in most armies. But the cigarette wasn't only used for calming nerves. Soldiers discovered that the paper from cigarettes could act as an emergency wick when dipped in fuel or even serve as a makeshift fuse to delay a flame. In prisoner of war camps, cigarettes became currency, often traded for food or protection. The practicality was simple, an item small enough to carry in bulk, but valuable enough that everyone wanted it. This shows us how something as ordinary as a cigarette could transform into a survival tool of barter and fire-making. Both critical in wartime conditions. In modern terms, the lesson is about adaptability. Carrying small, lightweight items with high value, like matches, lighters, or even chocolate, can still serve similar purposes in survival planning today. Soap became both a cleaner and a lifesaver. Soap was scarce in occupied territories, but wherever it appeared, it was put to use far beyond hygiene. Soldiers used bars of soap to lubricate stuck zippers, quiet, squeaky equipment, and prevent rust on weapons. In extreme cases, softened soap could even be used to temporarily seal cracks in fuel containers or water cantons until a proper fix was possible. This versatility was priceless. For modern survivalists, the takeaway is clear. Stockpiling multi-purpose basics is smarter than carrying a specialized tool for every job. A single bar of plain soap can clean, preserve, and patch when needed. Skills just as useful now as they were 80 years ago. Safety pins and needles turned into field repair kits. Uniforms and gear rarely lasted under the strain of constant marching, crawling, and fighting. Safety pins and sewing needles became indispensable for patching holes in clothes, fastening torn straps, or even improvising fishing hooks. Some soldiers carried them hidden in lapels or caps, knowing they could also be useful in escape attempts if captured. The ingenuity here wasn't about the objects themselves, but the creativity in applying them. In today's world, having a small repair kit with needles, thread, and pins can extend the life of outdoor gear dramatically. When resources are scarce, the ability to mend rather than replace becomes a real survival advantage. Condensed milk cans and food tins became cooking pots and stoves. Rations often came in tins, and soldiers quickly discovered that these containers were worth keeping. Empty cans became makeshift stoves when punctured and filled with solid fuel or wood scraps. They were used to boil water, cook basic meals, or even act as emergency lanterns when paired with grease and cloth for a wick. Civilians on the home front did the same, recycling every bit of metal for wartime production or daily survival. For survival-minded people today, this teaches the importance of reusability. Even the simplest packaging, when viewed differently, becomes a potential survival tool instead of waste. Keeping the mindset of what else can this be used for is one of the strongest lessons drawn from WWII daily life. Maps and newspapers offered both navigation and insulation. Printed materials were everywhere, and while maps were obvious guides, they also doubled as survival gear. They also used paper to light fires, create improvised bandages, or signal others when writing materials were absent. The lesson here is that low-tech solutions still matter. Something as simple as a stack of newspapers, which might seem trivial today, can become a source of warmth, fuel, or communication when stripped down to essentials. It reminds us that redundancy, carrying items that serve multiple roles, is a timeless survival principle. Lessons from World War II, everyday survival for today. What makes these stories so compelling is that they reflect a universal truth. Survival often depends on how resourceful people are with the tools at hand. Soldiers and civilians during World War II didn't have the luxury of specialized gear for every situation. They had to make do with what they carried or what they could scavenge. This mentality of adaptability, reusability, and multi-purpose thinking is just as relevant now. Whether you're preparing for natural disasters, heading out on outdoor expeditions, or dealing with unexpected shortages, if you were to build a survival kit today with World War II wisdom in mind, you wouldn't just fill it with high-tech gear. You'd look for items that can serve 2, 3, or even 4 purposes. A cigarette lighter that can start fires and provide light. A tin can that can both cook and carry water. A bar of soap that can keep you clean and protect your tools. All of these echo the practical mindset that people lived by during the war. So just a few closing thoughts here. Everyday objects shaped survival in World War II as much as rifles and rations did. A cigarette, a bar of soap, a safety pin, or a tin can might seem ordinary now, but in the crucible of war, they became tools of ingenuity and resilience. For history enthusiasts, these stories show the human side of survival, where creativity often mattered more than resources. And for modern survivalists, the lessons still stand as reminders to think beyond the obvious and value versatility in every item you carry. If you found this deep dive into World War II survival ingenuity valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel and share this video with others who are passionate about history and resilience. There's a lot more to uncover about the clever ways people endured those hard years, and you won't want to miss the next story.